everybody. That is a long walk. Brandis Stockman, I am the Executive Director of OST Training That Sticks, the Program Manager for Education and Expanded Learning with National League of Cities, and I have a superpower. I actually have two superpowers. One of them is my super nose. I can smell anything, anytime, anywhere. My husband likes to joke that I can smell when somebody starts to cut a tomato from across the house, which is kind of a joke, but it's also kind of not because I definitely can. Well, I do consider this a superpower because it is particularly extraordinary. It has felt a little bit more like a curse at times. So if you can imagine, I have worked in this field for about 25 years and spent about 15 of those years working directly with youth. So imagine smelling anything, anytime, anywhere in a group of middle school boys or in a high school gym. Pretty rough. So this is a superpower I was lucky enough to be born with, but I do have a superpower that I earned. So when I was growing up, I grew up with my two parents, a mother and a father, and my younger sister. My mother had experienced abuse as a child, and she put everything she could into being an amazing parent for my sister and I. A really good example of this is how she passed along her love of reading to me. She made reading extremely special. We read together every day. We went to the library together. She bought me these workbooks where I could put a sticker in. And when I was when I learned words, it was very special. And it resulted in me being able to read chapter books when I was 4 years old. I am Canadian, not a superpower. But sometimes I feel like it is, because I heard some woos, right? And if I was like, let's hear it for Canadians, everyone would be like, woo, right? Thanks. They're so nice. They're so clean. I don't know about that. But being Canadian has been something I've been very proud of, part of the fabric of my being. But being Canadian has posed some challenges for me. So a lot of the times when I first get to know somebody and they don't know where I'm from, they'll ask me, where are you from? So my answer, pretty straightforward, is I'm from Canada. The next question usually is whereabouts. And so a lot of the time people are like, oh, I've been there, or my sister's been there, or I've always wanted to be there. Cool. So my answer is I am from near Toronto. The next question, do you have relatives there? And so at this time, I usually take a breath. I answer with my truth, which is not really. And then the dreaded question, do you go home often? So at this point, I start to look around. I'm like, am I in a safe space? Are there people listening? Where am I? I look at the person who's asked me the question. Who are they? Do I work with them? Am I going to be in a meeting with them later? Should I tell them the truth, or is it easier just to lie? So I want you to think about when you're meeting people and the questions that you ask them. Are you asking the questions that you really want to know the answers to? Do you have time to really listen? So to you, maybe, do you go home often seems like an innocuous question, but to me, obviously, it's not. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why. So I told you about growing up and my mother and her love for reading. When I was 13, my mother got sick. She was diagnosed with the human equivalent of mad cow disease, very rare. And over the period of 3 months, I watched as her mind and body deteriorated until she died right before Christmas. So I was in 9th grade. This is a crucial time in somebody's life. I was getting to know myself as a person. I was going through puberty, navigating difficult social situations. And so for me, for something like this to happen at a crucial time like that was particularly devastating. But what was worse is what happened next. My father became abusive, physically and emotionally, and ended up kicking me out of the house when I was 16. And this is how I developed my superpower. My mother was my rock. I know what it feels like to have the rug ripped out from underneath me and to not even know which way is up. I saw hatred in my father's eyes when he looked at me. I know what it's like not to feel safe in my own home. I was homeless when I was 16. I know what it feels like to sleep in a bed that's not my own and to feel completely betrayed and abandoned. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and anxiety. I know what it's like not to understand my emotions or how to deal with them. I walked down the halls of my high school every day feeling like I didn't belong anywhere and that nobody could understand what I was going through. I know the pain of wondering if anyone would even care if I was gone. And I know what it feels like to spend almost every day of my adult life blaming myself for the abuse that I experienced, because these are things people just don't talk about. I'd like you to take a second and look around. Give some eye contact to the people around you. Maybe a friendly smile, a nod, an acknowledgement. I want you to know that numerous people in your vicinity, maybe yourself included, have experienced abuse, neglect, estrangement, abandonment, because a lot of times that's what brings us to this work. My superpower is making safe spaces for youth and adults. Thank you. I know that every interaction with somebody is an opportunity to create that safe space. So I ask the questions I really want to know the answer to, and I make time to really listen. It's a little emotional. Thank you. I know that family situations can be difficult, and I know that it is never worth making a child feel alone or ashamed for the sake of a group activity like making Mother's Day or Father's Day cards. I know how important it is to share positive feedback with a youth on a regular basis, because maybe it's the only positive thing they've heard all week. And for those youth with particularly challenging behaviors, they are the ones that need to hear it more than anyone. And I know when somebody tells me they've experienced adversity, that they have had the chance to develop their own superpower. And so instead of saying, "I'm sorry," I thank them for being willing to share with me. If we want to be the best we can be for the youth we work with and work for, to bring our whole selves to work every day, we need to recognize the superpowers in ourselves, to learn how to bring those out in other people, and to not be afraid to be real. Thank you.